All right, guys, I couldn't help but record this bit here because I thought it's a good example of just real working process. Also, I want you guys to get familiar with the concept that you're going to make stuff and you're going to delete stuff, and that's just how it goes. So I'm deleting the 3D curve. I'm hoping that this is going to go smooth and that I won't have to scrap this video. But let's see what we get, okay? Now let's just pay close attention to the two 3D curves that we made previous. 1 and 2, those blue ones, okay? They're here and where are they? Hold on. There's one, and it's made from two different curves, a top view and a front view, right? Top and front. Perfect. Okay, cool. So let's actually do some of this. Let's try it on one, actually editing the curves that we created before. I'm deleting that boundary surface. I'm going to this 3D curve. I'm going to edit this. And let's just actually add a 20 millimeter line kind of right off the center point here. Let's just kind of pick, where do you think we want this 3D curve to end? I think about there. Kind of trying to pick the midpoint. I'm just eyeballing it. Let's make that 20. Good, good, good. And let's delete that construction line. And then let's just add some spline points to this to get a capability of arcing down to this guy. That's going to jack out our curves. Let's just deal. And this is danger zone right here. This is straight up dangerous. Could ruin our life. I mean, it's as real as that looks. It's a no. So, what's the problem, folks? Come on, give me a break. Oh, this is the handle that's giving me the static I don't like. There we go. Okay, cool. So just back that off a little bit, and I'm trying to get an edge. There you go. We'll set this to vertical because we're now gonna be dealing with a scenario where we're gonna have to transition from one side to the other. It's kind of like a mirror, so we've got to set that up. Okay, good enough. Now, I'm wondering if the top view curve that I made for the 3D curve is going to be placed well enough to create a 3D curve out of this. Let's check. Now, SolidWorks is going to whine about it, but it's looking like it did it. All right. Good, good, good. All right, well, that makes our life way easier now. Let's try, let's bail on this curve. See, hide it at least. Let's take a plane right off of the, let's take it right off the top and just stick it right there. That means we just know it's flat. So we start on the top surface, or sorry, start on the top plane, and then we set it to move up vertical until it hits that point. Okay, and then we're going to put a sketch there and do a spline that's going to connect the two just like we did before. And we'll look at it normal too. And this curve here, these curves that I'm adding are vital to the design of the thing. Later on down the road, when we start really getting into this design, these profile curves help to define exactly the main character of this. And so we need to be familiar with where they are, what they're doing, and how they work. So keeping it simple will help a lot. All right, cool. So I feel good now. I mean, that was a pretty easy fix, and let's do it to the bottom one. Okay, first thing to do, backpedal off where we were before. And, oh, one thing I have to do really quick, guys, hold on. Save as, and save this as an R3. Because this is such a big move, I want to be able to go back to where we started when we started this video. So let's edit this curve. Let's recognize that it's built off of this curve and this curve from the top view. So let's edit this curve, and we'll do the same thing we did before where we'll set a 20 millimeter kind of dimension off the edge of the glass, just so we know we're in line. And I'm sorry, guys, as I'm doing this, I'm just realizing, I'm like, you know what? I maybe have to redo this 3D curve, because the reason is because since it was drawn before the move that we just made, I don't get to see that stuff as a reference. You can see how everything's grayed out in my design over here. So, I mean, is it going to be less work for me to redraw the 3D curve so that I can at least have the other stuff we just made as a reference? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's follow through with our thought at least. Inserting spline points to this curve, a couple of them so we can get an edge, and then setting a coincident relation to this point. Now I've got a horizontal relation here that's causing me some static. Let's get that done. And let's set a vertical relation here. And let's figure this part of the model out. Just be careful with this part. Understand that this part here, when you get these kind of kinks, these edit points that are really close together, they require patience. You can see what they're doing here. They're just in a bad mood. If they really aren't playing along, you can always delete them and start over. In fact, I might do that at least once here. There you go. Cool. Okay, that looks alright. I know that I don't like the way that this is looking, so I'm going to pull that down a little bit. And I know that this is looking a little bit like wobbly, so and remember, guys, the way to handle situations like this where you've got really important curves that are acting funny, it's practice. It's practice, practice, practice. The more familiar you are with the tension of these curves, the better your model is going to be in the end. Okay, that's going to break a lot of stuff. Okay, cool. All right, looks like the 3D curve updated, but you can see what my problem was there. Since I don't know where the rest of this is, it was really hard for me to figure out like how to get this curve to stretch up to that. So if I just, redraw my curve, if I just hide this guy and go off of the work I've done in the past. Here, let me show this guy. There you go. I'm well aware that what I'm saying right now doesn't make sense, guys. By starting this 3D curve over at this point in my design tree, I get the option to view this work previous. And that's just going to make it easier for me to set up here. So front plane, sketch. See how this works? See, now I can see where the other curve is. I can even snap to that other curve, and it just makes, ooh, no I can't, hold on. I'll just throw it on there manual style. Alright, and then we'll edit this guy. Throw a vertical relation on it because we know the other one's got one. We'll start to play around with these nasty little points down here. I mean, that looks cool right off the bat. It's an accidental thing, but it kind of looks cool. I might want to just remember that spot. And see, now you can start to see I can really whack these things out and start to make cool little patterns. This has got too many points on it. Let's keep it simple, stupid. I like that, actually. I like that little dimension line that SOLIDWORKS just popped up showed me that the corner of this here is kind of right in line with the nose bridge. That makes me feel good. So I'm going to stop there. Snap that guy into place. And I'm going to pull this handle in a little bit. And then pull that in a bit. You can see this kink is going to be the edge of our goggles later on. I'm going to call it like that and remind myself that, you know, I'm setting myself up to do another 3D curve here. So I'll go to my top plane and start up a sketch on my top plane, and it's going to be a spline, and it's going to be over here, and I just need to make sure that it kind of lines up with all of this stuff here. There you go, that. And that's like that. This is going to have a vertical on it, sorry, horizontal, so that we can mirror later. And let me see, I just want to use some of my other curves as a reference here. So let's see here, 3D. Let me just at least show one of those and look normal to the top. I need to edit this guy. A couple things, I know that there's like a nose bridge here, so there's a little kind of wobble in the curve, so I think I'll just add a spline point here, and that'll give me the option to kind of pick and pull on this thing a little bit. And just see that how I pull this end and this end kind of stays the same because of that point. Yeah, just gonna give myself a little bridge at some point. And this guy here probably needs something. I don't quite know what yet, so I'm just gonna call it like that. A little hard to follow here, but once we do this 3D curve, we're going to get a better sense of what's going down. So let's do it. Project curve. It's going to be this curve plus this curve. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay, good. That'll just absorb all of that. Okay, cool. So there it is. That worked like a charm. On the top curve, we were able to use the previous curves that we made and just edit them. On the bottom curve, we did have to start from scratch, but saved us some headaches later on. In our next video, I think that we're going to hopefully again hit some sort of a lucky stride, and let's say a quickie prayer that we're going to be able to go with a nice loft and do a loft from this interior curve to maybe these two other curves using the selection manager with this as a guide curve. Even we'll use these edges as guide curves and constraint curves, and let's hope we can get this sucker to run as one clean surface. Okay, it's a risky move, so I'm going to shut this video down and you'll have to watch the next one to see if it's going to work, but I think we've learned a lot about the way this stuff works, right? Sometimes it takes a lot less time to start from scratch than it does to fix a broken model, and we definitely are moving through into plan B on this build here, so don't be afraid to go down that road if it comes up. All right, thanks for watching.